Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you might be watching this at. Hope you're having a very positive day so far. Today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about the most common mistakes that women tend to make when it comes to building muscle. So I've got 5 of probably the most common problems, issues, mistakes, that's probably a better word for it, that I see women making, whether that is when they first come to me or just generally when I'm having conversations, or even when it's just things I see on social media. Building muscle, in an overall sort of sense, men and women building muscle, it pretty much takes the exact same thing. There are obviously things that we need to consider regarding menstrual cycle, hormonal fluctuation, general output, but and a slight sort of variance in nutrition as well, just in terms of like slight amount of protein that needs to go in and amount of unsaturated fats, etc. that need to go in. But in a sense, the things that men do to build muscle, women should pretty much be doing the exact same thing as well. However, as much as we are slowly but surely getting to a point where there's no misconceptions, the myths are slowly dying out, and the things that women need to do to build muscle are a lot more commonly followed, or accurately followed, I don't know. They're becoming a lot more apparent as we, get into 2026. But there's still these misconceptions, there's still these myths that women need to be doing different things in the gym, different styles of training around their menstrual cycle, in order to build muscle or maintain muscle or just keep a lean, healthy physique. So the first mistake that I want to get into is from the nutritional standpoint, and that is simply just, I was going to say under eating protein, but it's under eating in general. What you need to understand is, in order to build muscle, you need to be progressively getting stronger, okay? And you need to feed your body a sufficient amount of food in order to recover from those training sessions or exercise sessions, whatever you want to call them. The way that we build muscles, we create something called mechanical tension, which is basically the amount of force generated through a muscle when strength training in whatever way, shape or form or capacity that looks like. And the actual process and where we build muscle happens during recovery. That recovery doesn't happen if, number one, there wasn't enough stimulus placed on the muscle in the first place, and number two, there's not a sufficient amount of nutrition in the body in order to aid that recovery process, okay? So, first off, we need to be making sure that you're eating good. So getting an adequate amount of calories. Again, I can't just give you an arbitrary number right now because it completely depends on you as an individual in terms of, well, first off, how much do you weigh, how old you are, how active you are, how tall you are. There's several different factors, okay? So what I would start with doing is, in order to just calculate your calories, if you really have no idea where to start, get a calorie calculator off of Google. 9 times out of 10, they're a little bit inaccurate, but just get that number from it and stay consistent with it for a couple of weeks. And if your weight is maintaining, happy days, just stay at that number for a little bit. If your weight is still going down, you want to increase it just a little bit. Okay, get a sufficient amount of protein. So about 2 grams per pound of current body weight. 9 times out of 10, women are drastically under eating protein, not even getting 100 grams of protein in. And this is the most essential macronutrient, and it is obviously going to aid that muscle building process. Less wanky terminology I use, probably the better. Getting an adequate amount of unsaturated fats in. So somewhere in the region of 40 to 50 grams at least of unsaturated fats. So the things like 70% or higher dark chocolate, extra virgin olive oil, natural nuts or nut butter, fatty fish, that kind of thing, and avoiding the quote-unquote unhealthy kinds. So anywhere in the region of 40 to 50 grams per day there, and then whatever your calories you have left, just putting those towards carbohydrates, and then placing those carbohydrates around your training, pre and post workout ideally, okay? The nutrition side of things, is definitely one of the more common things I see being done incorrectly. Just not eating enough out of this fear of getting fat, which I completely understand. You don't get fat building muscle unless you put yourself into a massive calorie surplus, okay? So see if you can get your calories to a point where your weight kind of stays the same, give or take a kilo each side. Get your weight in that sort of area. let it maintain for a couple weeks. As I said, give or take a kilo each way, and then just add on 100-200 calories on top of whatever those maintenance calories were, and you should be golden. Second mistake I see being made is using higher rep sets or prioritizing higher rep sets and just very lightweight, out of this misconception that that's going to create more toning. Now, the first thing I want to say is toning, which is what a lot of women want, is not a real thing. I still use that terminology because we all know what it fucking means, and I'm not going to be a dickhead about it. But we all know what toning up is. We all know what people mean by that. Toning up is essentially the process in which you build muscle and then lose body fat to show that muscle. Okay, definition, okay? In a few circumstances, you can do both at the same time. If you're brand new to weight training, if you are someone who is significantly overweight, if you've just come back after an extended period of time off of weight training, you can build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. However, if you're experienced in the gym and you've been going to the gym for over a year now consistently, that process is very, very difficult to come across or to achieve correctly, should I say. So what you kind of need to do is prioritize one or the other. So that's kind of toning out of the way. The higher rep sets and the lightweight, as I was saying before, to build muscle, we need to create mechanical tension. And in order to do that, you need to get fucking stronger. You need to give your body a reason to change in order to build that muscle, okay? Building muscle is an adaptation. That's what that process is. So in order to actually create that muscle and build that muscle, you need to give your body a reason to do so. You can do that with higher rep sets, but you need to be taking those sets to failure and using a heavy weight that's in range of that higher rep range. What would be more beneficial is, keeping a few higher rep sets here or there in your training, but prioritizing lower rep range, higher weight, strength-based sets, okay? So rather than doing, 15 to 20, 20 to 30 rep sets, take that down, go from 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12. That rep range there is going to create more, it will create more mechanical tension. It will give your body a greater reason to adapt and to change and to build muscle. You'll get stronger, and I can guarantee for a fact, number one, you're going to burn more calories that way, use more energy so you can technically eat more. And number two, I can guarantee for a fact that you're going to find your training way more fulfilling and satisfying because you will be getting significantly stronger. Third mistake I see being made, and this kind of ties in with what I was just saying, is neglecting progressive overload. So progressive overload is the process in which you get stronger. Okay, as I was saying before, in order to actually build the muscle and create that adaptive response, you need to give your body a reason to change. You need to place that stimulus on your body. What does that is you moving weight, lifting weight that you've not lifted before, okay, or for a number of reps that you've not done before, with the same level of form and technique, etc. Okay, so in a nutshell, let's just say you're doing a bicep curl, you're doing 10 kilos for 10 reps. Progressive overload could either look like you doing 11 kilos for 10 reps, or 10 kilos for 11 reps, or just having better form, technique, maybe slightly slower tempo. Just you somehow improving on a week-to-week basis, rather than just sticking to the same weight for the same reps every single week, and just start treating your workouts as a tick box exercise and just staying the same with your performance. Your time in the gym should be progressive. Your performance should be prioritized, and that should be improving. Give your body a reason to change, and that's essentially what progressive overload is actually going to ensure. Fourth mistake I see being made is prioritizing cardio, because again, this is one of those misconceptions or myths or whatever the fuck that we're slowly moving away from, is, women thinking that cardiovascular exercise is going to be the most effective form of exercise for weight management, or to create the desired look or outcome with their physique that they want. And look, if you're looking for a lean, toned, athletic, defined look to your physique, your diet and your weight training are the two most effective things that are going to ensure that. And you can sprinkle a little bit of cardio in to either create a further calorie deficit or improve your cardiovascular exercise, which will improve your strength training performance. Maybe you just like doing cardio, that's fine. But Cardio should be an afterthought in comparison to weight training. You should be prioritizing your weight training, prioritizing your nutrition around that weight training, and your performance in your weight training should be numero uno. And then any kind of cardio you want to do should come afterwards, okay? Whether that is you're doing it on your rest days, or you're doing it after your gym sessions, or you're doing maybe a gym session in the morning and a cardio session in the evening, vice versa. Just only thing I'll say is never do any kind of cardio before your weight training, unless it's like 5 to 10 minutes on a bike at a low intensity just to warm up, okay? But if you're like, look, if you're training to be Mo Farah and become some kind of, you're either training for like a high rocks or a marathon or some kind of endurance-based sport, fair enough, cardio is going to be the priority there. If the priority for you is to actually transform your physique and your body composition and look toned, lean, defined, strong as fuck, weight training is numero uno here. And fifth and final mistake I see being made, and this one is 9 times out of 10 always being made, not sure what the proper English there is, it's just not spending enough time doing it. Muscle takes a significant amount of time to build. It's not the same as fat loss where, you know, you could do a 10 to 20 week fat loss diet and you can make a huge visual difference with your physique. Building muscle takes way longer. And if you're spending less than 6 months trying to build muscle and you're doing everything that I've just spoken about consistently for those 6 months, even then, you're not going to notice a massive visual change from a muscularity standpoint, okay? If you're wanting like bigger arms around your shoulders, a bigger arse, bigger legs, whatever the fuck it might be. Spend a long time building these things, building your body and getting stronger progressively over a period of time, because it doesn't happen overnight. And 12 weeks of fat loss is going to look way more effective or impressive than 12 weeks of building muscle. And they're going to be noticeably different, I guess is what I'm saying here, in terms of you'll notice the fat loss a hell of a lot way more from 12 weeks of doing that than you would the building muscle for 12 weeks. So if you're, the reason why I see this being made by women is kind of this fear of getting fat, or like one day they're committed to the bulk and they want to build muscle and they want to get stronger and build bigger glutes, X, Y, and Z. And then 3 days of doing that, they feel fat and they hit the fuck it button and they're on the Stairmaster and they're back in a calorie deficit, and it's just inconsistent. Pick a goal. Okay, whether you want to lose body fat, build muscle, pick one of the two. There are circumstances where you can do both, by the way, and if you want to know how to do both, then either leave a comment below this video or send me a message on Instagram. You can do both in certain circumstances, but my best bit of advice for most people is pick a goal, prioritize one of the two. If you're someone who's got a significant amount of body fat to lose, like the priority there is obviously losing body fat, but you will be in a position where you can build muscle as well. But if you're someone who's already in decent shape and you've just got like a little bit of body fat that you want to lose, just commit to losing the body fat first. Get your body in a responsive, more optimal position for building muscle, and then spend fucking ages slowly building your calories up, pushing your body weight up in a very small minimal amount, somewhere in the region of a quarter to half a percentage of your overall body weight each week. Get the food in, progressively get stronger over time, lift some heavy fucking weight, and spend a long time doing that. And your body will look night and day different in 12 months time, okay? As I said, building muscle takes a long time. Do not just think it's going to happen in 8 to 16 weeks. You will see a composition difference and you will see a little bit of a difference, but don't expect to be, you know, doubling the size of your glutes or anything like that in a short space of time, okay? But yeah, those are the 5 most common mistakes I see being made by women when it comes to building muscle. Hopefully you've learned something there. If you have any questions, any issues, anything, any other topics you want me to cover, please leave a comment below. Hit me up on Instagram with any messages, rossline.made, and I'll catch you in the next one.